welcome to our policy workshop for April 14th. Call the workshop to order.
Okay, just a little review of our objectives and process. 241 policies. Review and excuse me? No, but we're making a dent in it. We are on our 3,000 and 4,000 series. We do not have many. Remember, the ones that have the asterisk next to them will be the ones that have significant changes. The rest were mostly format because of that 18, 19, 19, 20 push we did for a lot of them. So we will get started. And thank you, Sonia, for being here. Sure. So these are health related. So our first one, again, is a format only.
I have a suggestion here that too. So the OSPI uses the American Academy of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology, yes, the AAAAI, to direct what are these common life-threatening allergens. And we can either add shellfish, milk, and eggs, like they do on their list, to update it, or just reduce it to food, stinging insects, and latex to cover the major groups, therefore not leaving anything out.
So get rid of the peanuts, tree nuts, fish.
Just use food,
Okay.
stinging insects, and latex.
Okay.
The only other heading that the AAAI uses is other causes, which doesn't fit in the sentence. So probably could just use the three major. And that goes right along with what the OSPI uses.
Just going to take a pause because Megan just texted me. Megan, can you hear us? She's see how she's on, guys?
I can hear you. It's pretty echoey, though.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, speak and make sure she can hear Sonia.
Can you hear me, Megan? Hello?
Were you able to hear Sonia, Megan?
I was not.
Okay.
If you want, if you could either stand and speak a little louder, or you could move a little closer. I'm not sure. I mean, this is our first one, so I think everyone's a little understanding.
There's a yellow dot up here.
There is.
Just make sure the teachers I did, yes.
And thank you, Megan, for being our virtual test dummy.
No problem. I love being the guinea pig.
Can you hear me now, Megan?
Yes, much better.
Okay. So we probably don't want, okay. We have
Hey, Megan, can you hear me?
Were you able to hear him?
Can you hear me, Megan? Brandino.
I just now heard my name. Who's speaking?
This is Brandino.
Did you hear him say this is Brandino?
I did not.
So
Wow, I don't very often hear people can't talk.
Yeah.
yeah, I think between the mask and the distance.
I think it is the mask and the distance.
Let's
Yeah.
speak this forward, and then we can move this forward as well. Maybe you can't understand you, but you can hear.
Right. We're gonna do a little moving maybe and see if it's better.
All right.
Okay, try again.
All right. How about now, Megan? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You just sound very faint.
Better.
Yeah.
We'll keep working on it.
It's probably because of the mask, so
Yep.
it's hard to understand. Well, if I do my southern accent, what's that do?
You wanna do a little sound check too, Larry?
Yeah, hi Megan, this is Larry.
Hi, Larry.
Hi, Megan, this is Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Hey, Megan, it's Jane.
Hey, Jade.
It's just you.
It's just me. My
Okay.
staff complain all the time, they can hear me from my office all the way to the front desk, which is like half of this room. It's like, they're too loud in there. Close the door.
All right, well, this is
Better, Jim.
Okay, thank you, guys.
I
All right.
have a question about that.
Sure.
Insert the following language, is stuck in yellow, the highlighted in yellow, should that be part
Yes,
of this document?
absolutely, because here is our standing order for our
I
stock.
know, I'm just saying, we need that, insert the
Oh, I
following
see.
language here.
Probably not.
It doesn't sound like it should be there. And then my question was, do we have standards?
Yes, these are standing orders. You'd like to see them?
Yep.
And we have stock supply in every school undesignated that can be used by unlicensed staff if the student already has a care plan and medication orders in place, or by me in any circumstance.
And the staff's trained on how to use those?
Yep,
Okay.
well-trained, and all staff get school training on emergency response, asthma, anaphylaxis, and AED use in the beginning of the school year at one of their group staff meetings, preferably in that last week of August, first week of September, when we start, including transportation.
Okay, and then you mentioned AEDs, are they in every office of every building?
The AEDs are in every office, and also have one in the H building, and there's one in the district office and one at transportation as well. I have to count, but I think we either have 10 or 11.
Do we have one over in the admin building?
Yeah, well, not your building, not your little square building, but right outside the boardroom in
And
the hallway.
are they marked?
We're working on that.
I mean, on the wall someplace?
You know what, I talked to, John McCandy about that, and he has signs.
Okay.
I checked in with him the other day if those had gone up yet, and he didn't, well, they are not up yet, and he didn't reply. So we'll get there. That was a good suggestion at our last meeting.
I know we're jumping ahead. How about the head injuries?
I did actually, Tracy, I had, Dave Ditlevson get back to us on that, because I don't oversee that necessarily. That's his wheelhouse.
The way our policy we'll see later is written, it's mainly for athletics. We don't have head injuries in the classroom, playground, any place like that.
We do, and those students are referred to doctors for what's called an ACE care plan.
But how about on the ground, in the playground?
So we do have head injuries.
Yeah, and what happens?
The health services responds appropriately depending on how bad it is. We always err on the side of caution by either calling 911, depending on how bad it was, or having them go with a parent for medical follow-up. They're never just allowed to go back to class, even if it was a little bump. They have to stay and be watched in health services for half an hour. And then parental permission must be given in order for them to go back to class. And then I would have to assess them, because I cannot delegate assessment.
And then if they're on the ground passed out, I'm the playground supervisor, I can call 911 first.
Yep, everybody can call 911 first, and that's one thing I go over with them in the fall, is that Good Samaritan law in regard to EpiPens and response, and that they are only protected if they act quickly and try to help. The problem comes when people don't act or don't act quickly. So yeah, 911 can be called by anybody at any time from any cell phone, but we do actually have a process
Right.
where they call into the office so that they can really attend to the child, and they have support to call 911 and direct them and everything.
I know those are procedure kinds of questions, but
Well,
No,
I was just gonna say that, so just as a reminder, our responsibility is oversight of policy, direct operational procedures and day-to-day operation falls to the staff.
right, and if it's not in the procedure, I want it in policy to make them put it in the procedure. Okay, just a second.
so if we were going to add anything about anaphylaxis to the policy, then I can only think that the RCW I didn't see listed was 28A.210.320, which doesn't fall under either the other two, which states here that, that the parent has to provide it, and that RCW says it must be in place before the start of school. So I'm not saying we should add it to that, but if there's a concern that the procedure needs to be reflected here, that's the only thing I can think of.
That's probably good to add that RCW
To the policy.
in mind. Because you could always cross-reference, it's good to have an RCW in there.
And the reason I think it's helpful is because there are some parents who, although contacted numerous times and, with the summer letter, phone calls, letters home, calls from me, just are non-compliant in making sure the school has those signed care plans, the signed medication orders, and the EpiPens for their student. And we get to a point in the year that I then have to recommend to the principals to consider exclusion. That would be our support for their decision to do that by using that RCW. Luckily, usually a phone call from the principal takes care of it.
Okay, I made notes on all those. I'm going to go to the 3421 child abuse, neglect, and exploitation convention. This was again a format only. We had updated it. I believe in, it'll say down at the bottom. June of 19, and then we're gonna, no changes from WASPA since then. And this is the sports concussion that Sonia forwarded to Dave Ditlison, and he 100% said, yes, we follow all of this. All is good to go.
That's why I was asking about it, specifically about sports. And I was worried about, could it include classroom playground head-injuries?
Well, I think that we follow the guidelines for the State Department of Health, and they outline pretty clearly exactly what the school district does in regard to that. And I guess I don't know, I don't think there's a procedure that we include in here. Like there is the 3422P, I don't think, right? Or am I wrong?
Take a look.
Oh, okay.
I kind of don't think so either, but let's take a look.
Yeah, but for many things, we follow the Department of Health guidance. Broken legs,
There certainly is.
head injuries, fainting, bleeding. Oh, so there is.
So Larry, are you saying you would like to have that included in the sports one, or then we have a separate one?
Or just, and in the classroom, just add that to the title? I mean, I don't know. Let's take a look at that language.
Stacy, when you were scrolling through when I saw student health,
You bet.
So the question then, and I don't have it printed out to look at it, but there's a lot in the policy about parent education, and I'm not sure how that would apply to the classroom setting. In the concussion policy that we're reviewing, I don't have a printout of it, I'm trying to remember exactly what it says. There's a lot in there about the parent information. We don't provide normally on a regular school year parents with concussion information. So I'm wondering if everything here, if we just add the words "and" in the classroom, if everything here is something we would implement then for a regular school day.
So this one is specific to school sports. Um, I see where the concerned position is, but, thinking of, having fallen off a merry-go-round when I was 5. But, Brad, do you know?
Well, I'm wondering if this is covered under some of the other procedures, like student injuries or.
Yeah, that's good news. That one. Wasn't much under student health, just the name. Response to student injuries or illness, 3418.
They don't have the flip chart, you know, that's part of the flip chart addresses the child abuse and the staff response to things, and it's in the flip chart.
Can we get the flip chart? Is there one in here?
Another class.
So this, under emergency treatment, it does say cardiac arrest and the head, neck, eye, or spinal injuries. Does cover that.
And that's in the student injuries, right?
That's in the student injury procedure.
Yeah, nothing in the policy.
So let's read the
It's real short, it's a paragraph.
policy to, first aid or emergency treatment. Okay. So what would you like to see in there? Then,
I just want to make sure the district is covered if there's a head injury and we don't address it in the policy or we at risk. We have one, you know, you get hit in the head in football or softball hits you in the head.
One thing, I don't recall, are we not going over this policy this year, or is it someplace else in the schedule? Yeah.
Yeah, we went.
Oh, did we miss that? No. Oh, it was.
It's coming up for second.
Right. I think we already did, I have it highlighted, we did. Okay, well, you could always think about,
Think about where it might fit in without, causing undue.
to go back and do it.
It doesn't make sense to have parent meetings about head injury for the classroom.
I see the evaluation here where it talks about injury, I guess it's added head injury to that, with that physical trauma. Those are standard, first aid, EMT terms. But it could be, it says fractures or head, and that's possible, but
Yeah, I guess I kind of thought that encompassed it, along with the fact that we have the flip chart and the Washington State Department of Health first aid guidance flip chart that's in all of the offices. Okay, move forward.
Hearing no objections, we will move on to 3432, emergencies, which you can imagine after this year has a few changes. I don't know if you all had a chance to read the WASTA update. And we'll take a peek at the markup.
yeah, it came out of legislation.
And new in there is about principal fee familiar with, certified on incident command system. Are they? Will they be?
We have in the past.
One of the things I asked Tracy about this one, is active shooter is not in, and I don't know where it would fit if it doesn't fit in this one. I think that's an emergency. Maybe it's just one thing to something else, like lockdown or something. Yeah, I guess that's where they give us one call around it. Suspicious trespassers, urgent shooting.
Is that terminology that seems to be the active shooter?
Go back up.
It does under lockdown, so
Under
urgent
lockdown.
shooters, which is, it does, that's not, they're not, I guess that would be active, they're armed shooters.
Threats of violence.
They may not be shooting their gun, but they have walked in and
That first under it says threats of violence, which is, I think that's the general philosophy.
yeah. We probably should have covered it, we don't seem to be having very different.
I don't think they're covered on that shooting. Carrying a gun is one thing,
Right, shooting is.
active shooter is a whole different story. Like that General Assembly they had a couple of years ago. We brought in,
Jesse.
Jesse, wasn't about,
Jesus.
basically, wasn't about carrying a gun, it was about an active shooter.
It's about responding to something.
Now, we have done some organized drills with fire district three and the police department. And that, there was one last fall, right? Or,
Yeah, and I think going back to what there was another question too, because we did have, Vince was part of that communication team, and
Yeah.
Sean was part of that communication team, so, from a principal standpoint, being, part of that.
and when the suffering area stood up, COVID, Vince was attending the, a representing.
Yeah.
They were first meeting in the transportation building over on Cedar Street, and then we go operations to Blackpool and then in the park. Then as things kind of leveled out, and I was good, but he was, I don't know as far as qualifications, I don't know, I had him. But I think there was a move to have that idea of the basic understanding of the investigative. I think it fell under the safety.
Right, well, we do have a safety and security, group that we started this week, so, anyway. I'm also gonna, I think we need to try logs on this one, Tracy, and I can do that tomorrow, but asking them about that, and she would consider that, I don't know, I think we need something in there.
I think on that third paragraph, it said we could modify something we wanted.
Okay.
This is the place where if your district has specific things you can modify.
It's unfortunate with schools opening back up, that school shootings have only increased again.
So, yeah, so we will, before we bring this to you, we'll add some, we'll get some language or laws that will see what other districts are doing, that they're doing.
Thirty-five ten, associated student bodies, another one.
Actually, if I could just throw something in about the pandemic on that one.
On 3432.
On 3432. Under the pandemic. So it says here, the district liaison, in consultation with local health officials, will ensure that a pandemic plan exists and establish procedures to provide for staff and student safety. So that's come under scrutiny quite a few times this year in regard to, do our policies tell us that we need to follow what our local healthcare authority says? So the OSPI does say in the infectious disease guide that COVID is a reportable condition, and therefore we are supposed to, under this particular WAC 246101420, responsibilities of schools, consult with the local health department. And when I had gone over all of our policies and procedures and talked to Ann Herzog, I think, at the OSPI, one of the things that really helped us was the infectious disease guide, listing there the laws that we're supposed to follow, the State Board of Health recommendations for reportable conditions. I really like it that we have something in a policy saying that we do use the guidance of the local health authority, and we can make stricter guidance, but not more lax. That's how Dr. Berry put it. We can make stricter guidance. So I'm just wondering if there's any support for putting anything in here that would say specifically that we with guidance, we follow the guidance of the local healthcare authority to the same degree of recommendation or stricter. I think that might have checked a few boxes, and I don't know if this is the place to do it or not.
I would be in favor of that, and listing the WAC, because whenever you can go to the WAC or RCW, that brings us back to.
So the RCW in the infectious disease guide, which is under the infectious disease policy, is 28A.210.010. And the WAC, I gave you the numbers for already.
So it's probably good to have it in that specific paragraph, just, the one word that was referenced.
So they reference,
So it might just be to change the one word, maybe co-establish procedures. You know, if we're already consulting, then can we co-establish procedures? Is that strong enough? Because whether or not this says if there's a closure, that's not crossed out, that's on the last page. The superintendent will establish procedures for emergency closure. You know, that's recommended under reportable condition by the health department. The laws say we do have to follow that. You know, if it was measles, we'd have to follow it. So the plan itself for closure, that makes sense. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to say that, you know, that we comply.
Or that we will, we have to, we will comply. You get,
Yeah.
I'm assuming we have gotten pushback from some of our
Exactly.
More entry.
why are you doing that?
Exactly.
Just relationships with law enforcement and other organizations.
If the guidance from the federal government is one thing, and the state government might be slightly different, and Dr. Berry is saying for our county, this is what we're doing, and we follow our county.
then we'll
Or
have,
do we just have the, I mean, the word, it says under consultation, does that, can we just change that word to guidance?
Guidance.
Where it says the district liaison under consultation with local health authorities.
Yeah, guided by the local health authority.
or
We'll
we'll,
ensure.
or we'll follow guidance.
Something on that sort, yeah.
Yeah, that's what you.
Will follow guidance, yeah, that would work. I like that too.
And that Tracy follow up the one on this relationship with law enforcement and other agencies.
Oh.
And it says county health department in there to ensure safety and protection of students or staff when there's substantial threat to the health and safety of students or others.
Well, that kind of covers it too, doesn't it?
The relationship's one thing, we will follow the
Right,
guidance,
yeah.
it's a whole different story. Like, you can follow with Dr. Berry and say, well,
Right, yeah, that's
I
why,
don't think I should do it.
that's why I like the consultation term is just, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, we're consulting you, but we're not gonna listen to you.
Yeah, and I'm not sure there's a downside, but I'm also not sure what I don't know. I don't know what I don't know about this. So that's why, yeah. I would like to, I just don't see a downside. I don't think she's guided us wrong. I don't think a local healthcare authority would do anything but to say this thing. I'm not sure how that could be bad for a district.
Well, I think to your point too, where we can make the, and that's something that tends to get forgotten sometimes, is we can make it a little stricter, we just can't make them laxer. So if we're at least meeting or following the
Their
guidelines of
guidance,
local
yeah.
health department,
Guidelines.
we're doing that.
Yeah.
Now, if we say, if Dr., for example, Dr. Berry says, well, we can go back to school full time, and we're like, yeah, no, we can't.
Yeah, well, we can make it stricter.
We can make it stricter,
Yeah.
but if she says, no, I don't recommend you go back full time, and we go, well, we're doing it, then that's a whole different situation.
Districts that actually do that. They might listen to health authorities.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, and established procedures not more lenient than the guidance to provide for staff and student safety? Not more lenient than the local healthcare authorities guidance, if we put those words in there in the last sentence? Just an option.
With Washington Risk Management, is a good resource on this.
Oh, my.
I think that's what we heard from Waz, that you go against the local,
Oh, yeah.
we may not insure you.
That's
Right,
exactly what they
that's-
said. They
that's
put out,
exactly what they
yeah,
said.
they put out there were people not following their health, you know, the county health department.
that was one of those Thursday calls. I can remember which school district that was, that we went.
I think where it says that sentence, the district liaison, with guidance from the local health officials, will cover all of that. Because I think you don't want to get too specific and
Yeah.
turn yourself in.
Yeah.
But that says, we're gonna go with the guidance of the health
Right.
authority.
Instead of
That's what I was
consultation.
thinking, get rid of consultation.
Yeah.
Guidance is more.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, associated student body.
That is a funny little title.
I talked to Darlene briefly about this one, because there were, I wouldn't say significant changes, but, it's about the student fees.
Do we have a procedure for waiving fees for students who are eligible to participate in the free reduced lunch program and cannot pay for the fees that are required? Is that what you're talking about?
Somewhat more in depth than that. It was kind of, we can't ask for any proof type situation. You can't collect fees, you know, we sometimes would do the diploma thing, we can't do this with, well, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna do that. That's kind of all they have to say. Type situation, so let's look at the procedure.
We have that. Under 3520 is student fees, fines, might be something in there.
3520?
That's one on, or one down that we're looking at.
Oh, you're right, sorry, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Okay, yeah, so this one's talking about collecting the fees, but if the student isn't paying his lunch, then
Right.
Yep. We can waive those fees or we can reduce those fees.
And, the Powell Foundation has in the past provided some, again, the ability distributed that, and then there was a group called Pay to Play, and realtors, and they would then paying for any year of paying. And then, things like fire boosters and band boosters and uniforms, and under Kelly Shea, there was a big waiver of all those fees, that we've got this amount of students can pay with these ones, and not going to charge for the second amount of books, that's going to be part of, that's what we're going to use our revenue funds. So, most of that all went away with, section of some of the large, the uniforms at the band.
Going back to that 3510, probably a procedural thing. When students are out in the community raising funds, I know we have to worry about names, but is there some kind of official ID so they are legit? Because I've seen fundraisers out in front of Walmart or Safeway or something where they say they're raising funds for this or that school, but again, if there's no supervisor there, they don't have any official designation, so who knows where the money's going?
I think that's part of the application for them to do it outside the store. So like Walmart or Safeway will verify that they're, because I know when my daughter was in Girl Scout cookies, we had to prove that we were Girl Scouts to be able to have a spot there. And I get where you're going.
Because I think that
Because isn't it part of what we do? I mean, doesn't the club do an official thing to Walmart saying, hey, this is what we're.
So each of those clubs, ASP clubs, they put a request into Erin, who's the ASP treasurer over at the high school, and she conflicts to make sure that there's soccer doesn't have a car wash at this end of town, volleyball has a car wash at the other, because they have equal across. And there's supposed to be then an adult supervisor, and there should be there's a separate document that Aaron maintains, so that we could probably see.
that's all fine, if they follow that procedure. But if they're just out there,
And
Joe, every person walking into Walmart, there's a couple kids asking money for the science club without any designation,
And Walmart wouldn't let them be there.
Yeah, they wouldn't let them be out there.
I know there was, other incidences where, especially assisted living facilities, they go down, I'm raising money for the high school soccer
Oh,
team,
yeah.
and they're not in soccer,
Right.
there's nothing. So there's a lot of scamming going on.
A couple
Not
of years
here.
ago, there was a little hiccup, and it was actually, the middle school cheerleaders, or that were on the middle school cheer squad. And, they, didn't have authorization to go out, but it was caught, observed, and then corrected before. And I would say that, club staff, each club has a staff who's the liaison or the supervisor of that. And then let it come back to, discussion of, you gotta have these procedures in place, we have to have a conversation with all the parents. Because PTA, PTO, all those stuff, that's where things can go and get sideways.
And does this policy incorporate the new way of the world, GoFundMe, Facebook donations, that sort of thing?
I didn't see anything in there that we are working now on social media policy that is going to be bringing, we're looking at given to the communications department to bring some, and that's going to have to be, you know, one of the items that I'm looking at. We haven't, I don't know, Tracy, if we have anybody that has done a GoFundMe through this year.
You're not supposed to.
They're not supposed to, because in the procedure, the policy, I just read, and I think it was stated by the committee, any fundraiser that's not listed on the procedure page has to have prior approval from my office, so.
And there's an issue with the GoFundMe and the funds and having to be deposited within 24 hours. So there's another financial piece of it that Darlene has said that is not, we're out of compliance if we allow that.
Maybe sometime with Charlene and then Aaron and just sort of there's a presentation for us, or there's stuff that
Yeah.
Guess since this year has been a year of itself, and those things have just been on autopilot. And there's a new set of parents, and with the leaders, so forth. I know Aaron is very on it.
But that would be perfect to put in that social media.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking. Okay,
3515 student incentives. This was just a format only again.
Is there a monetary amount, total amount?
It's in the procedure. By you.
There we go.
The procedure in the 3530 is not talking about the procedures for any fundraising activities.
right. Anything on that list, that's not right.
So, January, you know, so I was reading back to this one, prompt my email to you about the, what Olivia Beverly.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm sorry, I've not gotten back to you on
No,
that.
no, no, that's,
Tracy has all the information, she gave it all to me, and then I ran off to my meeting,
You
so.
have this,
It's in my inbox.
I'm down here.
No, I feel badly about that.
No.
but that's, I was, really, I don't know if we've always, or haven't quite, finalized what we want to do with it, that thing, but, and,
I will get that out to you tomorrow. Yeah.
okay.
It is on the calendar for the 7th to recognize Olivia, and then,
Hey,
students, next year's will be on May 17th, the student application and window and dates for interviews and all that stuff.
the other reason why it popped in my mind was that chamber board is, yeah, putting something together for it, they're doing their, and I was like, oh,
Okay, student fees, fines, and charges. Oh, this is the hypermobility cross-reference only. You guys must have read that.
This is the one that, supposedly, we used to withhold diplomas for students that hadn't paid their meal debts. And then the anti-lunch shaming laws went into effect. So this clearly states the student was responsible for replacing materials or property which are lost or damaged. Supposedly, that might include van uniform, but it doesn't cover unpaid lunch. And just to make sure that's clear. That says the Hunger-Free Student Bill of Rights Act that was passed. It didn't allow for lunch shaming.
$35.30 fundraising activities involving students. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, the procedure lists policy 8500.
This 3530 policy lists.
The procedure
Uh-huh.
lists,
I saw that.
but not limited to policy 8500.
they're just sending that way up there.
Well, that was a.
We got to write a few more policies.
No. This is just a teeny bit outdated
We
from
got
06.
series 7000,
There we
8000
go.
to start working on.
Not to 8,500. Yeah.
How many years have we?
$4,000. Is Megan still here?
Oh, Megan.
I'm still here.
You made it. This is just kind of no necessary input per se, but Megan is here because she is our public information officer. She has reviewed and is aware of this policy. Again, there's no changes. This is just format only.
This is a good place to say, you guys are doing a fantastic job.
I think it is.
Megan, you're doing a job.
Yay!
Well, thank you.
Helpers, Jane and Tracy. And all the technology,
I have the best team ever.
quiet technology team behind the scenes that makes it all happen. It's been
Yes.
amazing.
Well, your team that was walking through the neighborhood the other day with your three little ones, and that's your support team. They're doing well.
Yes. They're amazing right now. They're kind of crazy because it's nice outside.
Larry, I highlighted this for you because it says annual report
Yeah.
at the close of each year. Tells
Annual,
you annual and when.
yep, annual, I got it right here. Annual district report, question mark, question mark, question.
Yes.
Larry opens up each policy and the first thing he does is a word search for annual.
Do annual.
I started doing it. Control F, annual.
Hope you don't lose any sleep over that, because that keeps me.
No, I lose sleep anyway, so might as well get up early in the morning and search for annual.
That's all I did for the day.
Search policies.
And
All right, 4020 confidential communications. Larry, this is one that you might have asked about, yes?
Yeah, I found, looking at the RCWs, that, WASDA was supposed to, write a model policy for this particular one. For this, and so I sent an email to WASDA, and they got back to me that they didn't write a specific one, it's kind of pieces of it are here and there. My other concern is, I guess, all that dang time I spent at Atlanta working for the Department of Energy. Terminology like may, shall, will, encouraged to, be expected to, shall, I mean, those have very specific, like may is one thing, shall means you'll do it. Encouraged to, okay, that doesn't mean you have to do it. Expected to.
So what would you like to see?
I just want to make sure we understand or emphasize that shall means shall.
Well, it's interesting too, how many policies have we seen where it's the one word?
Yeah.
It was will and now it's shall. All right, 4040, public access to district records. I don't know if you guys know this, but Ashley, yes, of course you do. Ashley is our public records officer, and she updated this.
And that's all she seems to be doing. Lots of
Yeah, I'm sure this is, yeah. Not a favorite topic.
I'll give her a shout out too, she's been real helpful.
She's been amazing.
Thank you, Ashley.
Yeah, what am I supposed to do? Help them.
She's become our resident expert in this.
4060, distribution of materials.
I don't have any comments on this one.
What do you know?
Can we just put an annual in there for, just for everybody?
Let's add it.
You know, that should be the treasure hunt every week, is to put one in every policy and see if we can find it.
Easter egg.
Let's not say we did.
Well, you know, we'll look anyway.
Can you go back, to the, improvement that is,
All right, citizens advisory committees and task force, format only. Simple little one here. Wow, has not been updated since 98. Wow.
because it's pretty basic.
Yep.
I assume the parent family advisory isn't meeting or has been meeting because that's the one Jennifer
That would be correct.
hasn't been meeting,
Has not.
even online, you know, so.
I don't think so.
This where citizens responsible to the.
They're a 501c3, so they really are not, they're not going free because they're not of the school district.
That gives that separation.
How about,
Actually, technically, you're not a pilot.
Oh, they're not?
SES
That's what
or
we were
citizens?
Citizens,
Oh,
citizens.
Oh,
Then the
that's
policy
what,
states they have
that's
to-
what we were told when we were,
policy says it has to be, right? You think it does?
I was under that misunderstanding.
I was under that misunderstanding when I took over citizens.
Oh, there we go.
So it's my fault. that I-
And it's all your fault.
I gave
You're the
it
one
to
that
you.
handed Colleen and I the binder and said, here you go. We're like, wait a minute, we're not really, okay. And
And I took it from Mike Mackler, so, okay, I'll go and get, call him in.
Title I, parent family engagement, we updated this when it needed to be. So this is just a format only. I could put money that there's an annual in there.
I'm going to look.
That's not everybody's
I
dinner.
think I have it saved, all the annuals and the special folder.
Nice. Safe and orderly learning environment. Format only again.
I like the disruption of school operations. So that could be used during the board meeting, stuff like that.
Regulation of dangerous weapons, format only. We, I think, did this was for the 1819.
Yeah, it is.
I remember talking about that.
The reason why this is a 4210A, where's that A come from?
You know, it came from WASA. I did the same thing. I'm like, why is that A there? And because WASA put it there.
Maybe it's the annual.
The annual.
That's what we
That's
need to
how
put
we
on
do it,
all of our,
yeah.
yes. I like that.
I know that it was that extensive update from legislation, so I don't know if that's.
4215 was format only. You guys took a look at that one not too long ago as well. Well, a couple times, 18 and 20.
So this one reminds me, so in the fall of last year, vaping was the big, and then all of a sudden COVID. So we were working on, a lot of us were working on, we need to have a vaping separate policy because it was getting all over the field. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, the other vaping. That went off to the side.
This one brought up another question I had. WASDA actually has a model policy 3423 for rental administration of marijuana for medical purposes.
That's on my list.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Keystone, yeah.
I have several on my list.
Oh, okay.
And I would just say that, yeah, I hope that we can look at that, because I have several parents, whose children get medical marijuana, and on a rare occasion, they take them home, medicate them, and bring them back, when I think that, the particular, special education student I can think of can stay at school, and, I think it could be a valuable policy.
And does that cover THC only, or does it cover CBD?
No, it doesn't specify. That's covered under what the doctor orders, and it would have to be covered with a medication authorization, just like an EpiPen. It can only be given by the parent.
So if mom or dad are down buying a nature's gift for their child, because they think it's healthy.
Yeah.
It's not good.
No.
Not
that-
official, not
that-
official.
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about students who are getting it for medical reasons, either seizure or, improved interaction we see in some of our special education students. And it has to come in the original prescription container. It can't end with the original prescription from the doctor, so those have to match exactly. And in that case, we probably wouldn't see it in the original prescription container because only the parent can give it. We wouldn't be keeping it on campus. So there's a certain amount of trust there.
You might have a doctor's note or a medical.
We would have to have that completed, yeah.
So the parent, instead of taking the student home, just comes, delivers the medicine, and the
Yeah.
student can stay outside.
Yeah, we actually had one parent that would take them off school property, medicate them, and bring them back. So, that's for valuable use of that drug. That seems a little ridiculous. I think we could accommodate students and keep them educated during the day. They didn't have to go off school property.
It's treated basically like any other prescription drug that might be in the nurse's office.
Exactly.
It would raise the question, if the legality, like, say, medicating in the Walmart parking lot.
Yeah, there isn't one. I mean, parents really can give their kids anything they want, wherever they want, except this drug on school property. They can bring them a Tylenol, but, or anything else, they can't bring them this drug.
All right, home stretch, 4218, language access plans. This was updated recently as well. So it is a format only?
I do like the dual language, school newsletters coming out in Spanish. I don't, back when they send out those school medicines that I get, there's always two PDFs, not always, there's two PDFs, one in English, one in Spanish.
All right, and 4220, format only, complaints concerning staff or.
Yeah, I got one on that one.
What is it?
I think instructional materials, complaints regarding instructional materials referred to in policy 2020 or 22B do not address the complaints. Oh, that's not exactly what I want to say. 40, oh, it's in the procedure again, about grievances. No provision for complaints. They say to go to, those policies, 2020 and 2020P about, course design, and there's nothing in there that tells me I should go how to complain about anything.
On 2020P?
Or 2020.
Jane, you just looked at like that. I feel like there is,
I was just looking at
but I'm not disagreeing with you, Director Jeffries. I'm just recalling that I was in on that.
Complaints regarding instructional materials should be pursued in a manner provided for in policy 2020. And then when you go to policy 2020, that should be seen things about how to address. It talks about how curriculum is made, but nothing about how to address complaints.
When you click on the policy that we're looking at, you click on the 2020, it shows up like the
Just like that, we read.
yeah, that was it. And I can't read it in 2020.
So that's what happened to you, Jane?
Exactly.
I just tried, I couldn't even get to anything.
So that would that fall under the committee that Jennifer?
Yeah.
So the IMC committee, what happens is once you have the instructional materials committee, then they do what they do, and then we have to put the instructional materials out there. People, that's when they can complain on it. Yeah, that's when it's up for public consumption.
Just like, can't be read.
Yeah.
Yep, there's this.
This is the only not working?
Turn off, yeah.
Just that one,
Yep.
oh.
We'll make sure that's in the email,
Right now.
so just
Uh-oh.
Well, I can't get anywhere right now. I'm just trying to get home to the
Yeah.
actual school website. And
We've got other websites that are working with the Washington Post, so the internet is working, but some.
I can't get the policy 8500 at all.
Get that webpage. Good, Larry.
I just went to
A
water.
little slow on the uptake there.
Yeah, we can't get this.
Does that one have an annual
Megan, can you still hear us?
checkup on it? Sorry?
I can still hear.
Hey, Megan, can you get to the squinschools.org website right now?
Let me look.
Okay. She's at home. Sometimes the website itself is not.
I can't get on it on my phone either.
The Squin School District website?
Yeah.
The wheels on the bus are just going around and around.
Okay, if Megan also confirms it, that tells me that the actual website host is having an issue.
So I can't. It's giving me a silly face.
Okay, so you cannot get to the squinschools.org?
No, it's giving me a Mr. Yuck sticker.
Okay, so that is not anything we did?
It need to confirm or deny?
I can confirm that we didn't, because you saw us right here. I was in front of
Thanks for
you.
doing this.
Yeah, the web host is having some technical difficulties. So anybody in the whole world who's trying to get to the website right now is probably having the same issue.
It's not just us.
That's unfortunate
Or
timing.
maybe there's
No, it's
just so many
fortunate, 'cause that
people
was the
right
last
now.
one.
That was the last one. Wow, that is great.
Yeah.
At least they waited for the last one, so.
I know, nice timing, everyone.
Unplug whatever they unplugged.
All right.
Well, you might, when they're back up and running, check that out.
Okay, I'll note of it.
The policy, or the procedure also talks about resolution of student, parent, citizen, employee complaints and grievances. So you might want
4220P?
to you might want to look at that policy to see, because we've had some kerfuffles in that lately. That's, my last little note here is coming up with a new policy for, maybe in the 1000 series or whatever, on civility or code of conduct policy.
Did you find one?
Hmm?
Did you ever find one?
I've been looking for civility policies, but basically law just says, find one, let us know.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too.
It seems to me that we just tried that before. We did adopt a, people, we didn't have to put the race to adopt policy, treating each other.
And then, so that's good.
Well, I sent Larry on that, marriage thing. And then, one of the tri-cities, yeah, it's, having that reminder is still good. Hey, you get it.
I think there is, maybe you sent it to a professional code of conduct that the state has,
Another,
but we don't reference it anywhere in our policies.
that could be potential under the state board superintendent communications.
It could be there, or it could be right up, like 1000 series, right up on top.
First, that'd be a good location.
That being nice to each other, or civility, how do you want to call it?
Be kind.
Be kind policy, code of conduct policy should be,
Do no harm
yeah.
and for.
ABI is kind.
I love that.
There you go.
Yeah, 2020P has procedure for expressing concerns regarding instructional materials.
It does.
Yep.
And then I just missed it. Now that the website's back up there.
Yep. And it goes through how you're supposed to do that. Okay, that brings us to the end, and there's still sunshine out there. You all good? Okay.
Thank you again, Tracy.
Thanks, Megan.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Megan, thank you.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you,
Thank you, Mom
Megan.
Spencer.
Sonia, thank you for being here to help us with those,
Sonia.
Victoria, thank you.